The month of Teves, this month and the coming month, Shvat, are closely related. They basically make up the winter months, the cold months. It begins actually a little bit in Kislev. Teves is the height of winter, and then it carries over into Shvat. What do we know about coldness, about the cold season? We are told that in the cold season, the body enjoys the body. There's a closeness, a physical closeness, that is better appreciated in the cold than in the warmth, in the warm months. In other words, there's a warmth that comes from the outside, and when you have that heat or that hot summer months, the body does not really enjoy the body. The warmth of one body doesn't really help or is not appreciated by another body. But in the cold, the body appreciates the body. There's a sharing of warmth. And of course, that happens as a result of something happening in heaven, and it devolves until it becomes a physical fact. So there are cold months spiritually because there are no holidays. There are no events that bring you to do a pilgrimage to come to the Beis HaMikdash. And so there's a coldness. That's the tzimtzum, the concealment of godliness. The concealment of godliness causes a hungering for warmth, a seeking of warmth. And that's when the body, the Jewish people on earth, find warmth and appreciate warmth in God when they get together through the daily mitzvahs. Every month, of course, has something to do with the season, the climate, the temperature. The astrological sign for Teves, for the coldest month of the year, is the goat, the young goat, actually, or the lamb. This is when the goats, the young goats, can go out and find food because the grass is starting to blossom and it's soft enough or appropriate even for young goats. We're coming from the month of beauty, of Teves, which is an interesting combination, as we spoke last month, of private and public, the visible nature of that which is invisible, the lighting of the Hanukkah candles when it's dark, turning the land of Canaan into a holy land. What comes after that, of course, is the attribute of Netzach. Netzach means victory, perseverance, that once you've experienced the intimate feelings, the beauty, there will come times when to persevere, to maintain those feelings becomes difficult. There are challenges. There's the love of the chas and kala, the honeymoon years or the honeymoon days, hours, when the honeymoon is over. And now you don't have that kind of motivation, you don't have that kind of excitement or inspiration to keep you going. So now the question is, will you keep going without that motivation, without that inspiration, without that excitement? That's called persevering. To remain kind when you're not in a mood for kindness. To remain devoted when you're not in a devoted mood. To remain disciplined when you're not in a disciplined mood. That's called Netzach, persevering. Doing what needs to be done as if you were in the mood. Doing what you would do Were you in the mood? That gives life a consistency. It gives a relationship a consistency. But more than that, Netzach means the ability to relate to what is on its own value, not trying to turn it into something else. What is, what's right is right, what needs to be done needs to be done. You do what you have to do. That ability, that talent, may not be as impressive or as colorful or as dramatic as the previous months. It's the winter. It's cold. And yet, the coldness itself motivates us to seek warmth. In other words, doing what you need to do because it's the right thing to do, that's how we maintain a connection to what is true and profound and rich. Even when we're not feeling profound, we're not feeling rich. We're in our winter mode. The significance of doing what is right is basically an expression of humility. I don't have to be in the mood. I don't have to feel. I don't have to be inspired. You don't have to inspire me or impress me. I will do what needs to be done, what is right, because it's right. That takes humility. It's the humility that allows me to submit to what is right. And what happens often in a relationship, particularly if it starts off being very rich and very inspired and very profound, what happens is when that fades, we're lost. We don't know how to proceed. Because we had what we wanted. It was so good. I was so enriched, and now I'm not. I don't know how to proceed. Humility tells us, or enables us, to do what needs to be done, because we can, in all humility, appreciate the rightfulness of what is right, even though it doesn't do anything for me at the moment. I'm not in the mood. So the ability to respect the truth, the reality, the independent, objective truth, that comes from humility. The opposite of narcissism. Narcissism means there's got to be something in it for me. Immediate. It's got to be about me. If it's not about me, then where do I fit? Where do I come in? Why am I doing this? We're suffering from this terribly. In this final stage before Mashiach, narcissism is the poison that is destroying the world. The month of Teves tells us that in the cold months, when you're feeling nothing, when there's nothing in it for you, that's the best time to activate your capacity for Netzach, which means right is right. And a big part of that is the ability to admit when I am wrong. These are two sides of the same coin. If I can appreciate that what is right, even though it's not about me, then I can also admit that I am wrong when I'm wrong, because it's not about me being right. For the woman, this month represents the ability to stay focused on what is true and what is right, and not need to be right. Is it right? Is it kosher? Is it good? Not am I good, am I right, am I kosher? This is the fourth of the attributes, because when everything else is working, chesed is chesed, gvura is gvura, teferes is teferes, well, you're so alive, you're so motivated, you're so inspired, you don't really realize that there's a need for humility. The fourth month, when it gets really cold, that's when you realize there's a reality out there that has nothing to do with me. My husband's need doesn't have to make sense to me. It doesn't have to inspire me. And if I'm doing what he needs or doing what works for him, I'm not being abused. I'm not being a shmata. I'm being humble. And I can admit that it's not about me. So Netzach would mean it's not about me, and when I'm wrong, and when it's right, it's right. The next month, Shvat, takes it a step further. Not only can I be humble enough to admit when I'm wrong, I can also be humble enough to admit when you are right. So it's not just I will do for you what you need because it's right. That's impersonal. I can do what you need because you're right. That's a whole nother degree of humility which we will pursue in the coming month.